Welcome back. We now want to talk about the informal sector versus the big retailers. Late last year, there was a big push that came from the big retailers in the country, where they were complaining about the effects that the smaller retailers, the smaller tuckshops, so to speak, were having on their sales. And you would see that what then happened was there was a response that then came from the tax authorities, where taxes were then introduced. The government then said, if you are not VAT registered, for example, you cannot then purchase from a manufacturer, so to speak. And there was a big outcry where people felt smaller retailers, these tuckshops, the micro institutions, where they felt that the government was being unfair on them. So we just want to look at where the big retailers fare in trying to defend their turf through legislation like they did, or is the market shifted to favor these smaller players? So the bigger retailers, they had genuine concerns, where they were saying they are forced to sell some of their products or all of their products at some exchange rate, which is normally not favorable to their operations. And whilst the smaller players, they are a law unto themselves, because they can demand to say, we're not selling in Zim dollars, we're just going to accept US dollars. But when you look at all this, if you take a trip to a bigger retailer, let's say Bonmash or Spar or OK or Pick n Pay, you'd see where the difference comes from. The difference comes from how these two different, the informal and the formal, how they approach the manufacturers. So the smaller players, they approach the manufacturers on a cash basis, whilst the bigger players, because they've got clouds, they've got 52 shops, for example, they may have 52 branches across the country. So when they go to a manufacturer, they're going to bring their cloud with them, and they are going to force this manufacturer to say, I will pay you after 2 weeks. Now that is where the biggest challenge would then begin, because I, as a manufacturer, would not then want to be paid after 2 weeks whilst they are paying in Zim dollars. So already that field is tilted towards favoring this person who's coming and on a cash basis. So a manufacturer would definitely prefer to sell their product to a smaller player, the tuckshops, so to speak, who are going to sell their product on a cash basis and then pay them promptly. The bigger players, even if they were to pay in cash or they were to pay in US dollars, they would still demand more time to pay. Why? Because they are bringing a lot of volume to the manufacturer. So all these things, when they add up, they would then sort of disadvantage the bigger players. But my question is, as a bigger player, would you want to maintain a monopoly? Or is it fair for them to try to influence government policy in trying to come up with a solution to a threat to their business? Definitely their sales in terms of volume went down as a result of these tuckshops. And these tuckshops were cheaper. They are still cheaper even today, because their overheads are lower. There are so many other factors. They don't have a huge management hierarchy that is driving expensive vehicles that needs to be catered for. So that means their product will always be cheaper than these bigger players. But the bigger players, don't they have other options available to them? It's just a question. Can they not adopt the same formula that the smaller players are using? Can they not beat the smaller players at their own game rather than try to bring in the government to try to stifle growth? It is very important. Yes, the government tried to formalize these businesses. I think there are better ways to formalize them. I think it's just a matter of sitting down and thinking thoroughly about how to do it. In terms of these bigger players, I think they need to go back to the table. What stops OK, for example, from having smaller OK shops that operate as Tuckshops, which are smarter, which are cleaner, which are more spacious? What stops them from doing that? What stops OK from selling their products at that price, as an example, rather than just to complain? It's just food for thought. Have a good night. Remember to like, share, and comment. Thank you.